Hello everyone, my name is Nancy Jarvis, and today I'll be presenting my final project, the Rhetoric of Project Management Training Documentation. The project management software I used for this is called Asana. In this presentation, I apply participatory rhetoric and discourse theory to explore how Asana training materials shape collaboration and authority in institutional communication. My main research question is, what is the rhetoric of Asana training documentation? I wanted to explore how communication within these materials contributes to meaning making and persuasion, specifically how it affects organizational collaboration and structure. I chose this artifact because I played a key role in designing and maintaining Asana documentation in my organization within information technology, which is called IT. Asana is an essential tool for onboarding, managing tasks, and training both internal teams and external collaborators. I became curious how something as seemingly neutral as a training guide actually participates in shaping workplace behaviors. The documentation I analyzed includes how-to guides, screenshots, onboarding tutorials, and training videos used by new employees and project collaborators. It aims to standardize workflows and help users understand the expectations around using Asana for project management. I used two rhetorical theories. One, Benjamin Loren's concept of participatory rhetoric from his book, Communicating Project Management, a Participatory Rhetoric for Development Teams, 2018. And two, Michel Foucault's concept of discourse and power and knowledge from his book, Discipline and Punish, 1977. Let's start by briefly visiting what is participatory rhetoric. Benjamin Loren defines this as a rhetorical approach where communication facilitates collaboration and co-creation. Rather than directing others, project managers using Asana become facilitators. They make space for team members to engage meaningfully. This changes how we view training documentation. It's not a top-down instruction, but a platform for interaction and empowerment. His book positions project managers as technical communicators who construct meaning through writing and verbal interaction. Loren states in his book, products are developed by involving people in the design process. One example of participatory rhetoric in Asana is the use of customizable templates. These aren't rigid, they're flexible spaces designed for team-specific needs. Comments on tasks let users clarify, question, or co-develop steps. And when task ownership is distributed collaboratively rather than assigned top-down, it signals trust and engagement. Loren examines the shift from an efficiency-based paradigm to a participatory model in project management. Loren argues that traditional project management methodologies prioritize efficiency and productivity, often at the expense of participation and inclusivity. Loren emphasizes that project managers are also writers who shape dialogue. This repositions their role from overseers to enablers of co-constructed work. The key idea is psychological safety. When employees feel invited into the process, they take ownership and engage more deeply. Asana documents can reflect this by using open-ended instructions, comment-enabled fields, and spaces that assume input, not silence. He emphasizes that project managers function as technical communicators who design experiences for teams. He describes project management as a writing activity that extends beyond documentation to include facilitation, relationship building, and creating opportunities for team participation. Foucault's discourse theory sees language as a means of control and organization. Language shapes our perceptions of what is normal, acceptable, and required. In Asana, every directive, whether it's a checkbox, a required field, or a task status, it is not neutral. It encodes a sense of expectations about behavior and productivity. Task categories like in progress, at risk, or completed aren't just administrative labels. They prescribe how work is supposed to move forward. Timeline demands structure when something should happen and impose a sense of urgency and accountability. In this way, Asana mirrors and reinforces the broader institutional values of efficiency, order, and constant visibility into work. Thus, Foucault's idea about discourse become visible in the mundane language of project management tools. When we look at the wording in Asana, phrases like "you must" or fields marked as required, we see a form of disciplinary rhetoric. Foucault would argue this is not accidental. It's part of a larger system of normalization. These documents don't just support project tracking, they prescribe how to behave within an organizational hierarchy. Foucault's work helps us see how institutional documents like these construct authority. In Asana documentation, discourse shapes what counts as acceptable behavior, promotes self-regulation, and reflects power through prescriptive language. His theory explains the invisible control mechanisms at play. This leads us to a broader observation that rhetoric doesn't just explain documents, it shapes culture. The choices we make in documentation influence whether collaboration feels open or constrained. Small decisions like naming who is responsible for a project can shift the dynamic from hierarchical to participatory, and that's the real power of rhetorical theory in action. Visual design is also rhetorical. Asana's clean layouts and color-coded tags guide users through tasks while subtly shaping urgency and attention. For example, red flags or green check marks represent progress, and they also communicate expectations to encourage behavior signals with organizational goals. Rhetorical theory invites us to reflect ethically on how we build documents. Are we privileging certain voices or ways of working? Are we transparent about choices and assumptions? Ethical documentation offers room for user autonomy and flexibility, aligning with both Lawrence and Foucault's theories. So why does this matter? In our IT context, the language we use in Asana documentation affects tool adoption, team engagement, and perceptions of value. When we describe tasks in limiting ways, we limit participation. When we invite feedback or frame tasks flexibly, we encourage ownership. This is rhetoric at work in our daily tools, and it's crucial we become aware of it. My method included a close rhetorical analysis of internal and public-facing training documentation. I studied how these materials use structure, tone, visuals, and instructions to frame participation and workflow. I then applied Lawrence and Foucault's theories to these elements. One major finding is that the documentation makes space for participation by using inclusive visuals like task flows and tables. These help invite users to participate, aligning with Lawrence's emphasis on psychological safety and rhetorical agency. On the other hand, the document also uses imperative language, phrases like "you must" and "assign the task," which enforce certain behaviors. This reflects Foucault's concept of discourse as a tool of discipline, encouraging users to internalize norms without questioning them. This analysis shows that documentation isn't neutral, it's persuasive. It nudges users towards specific values: efficiency, visibility, accountability. It subtly trains users to accept a particular way of working as the norm. Moving forward, we can use this rhetorical framework to improve our Asana training materials. We should use more inclusive, action-oriented language. Design forms and templates that welcome contributions instead of controlling inputs. Shift from a tone of command to one of collaborative guidance. Based on my findings, I propose 3 recommendations. 1, create alternative workflows for smaller projects. 2, include examples using tools like Slack or voice memos. 3. Embed mechanisms for team feedback directly in the documentation. This analysis highlights how rhetorical theory helps us unpack the power behind workplace documentation. It shows what might seem like neutral instructions are actually rhetorical constructions that guide behavior, reinforce norms, and distribute authority. Recognizing these rhetorical choices is powerful because it opens the door to move intentional communication design. By understanding how language, structure, and visuals operate rhetorically, we can begin to craft documentation that is efficient, equitable, and inclusive. This means designing documents that accommodate different communication styles, prioritize psychological safety, and acknowledge diverse cultural ways of working. In doing so, we move from simply transmitting information to creating environments where collaboration thrives. This approach strengthens the documents and creates a more adaptable, flexible, and resilient workplace culture. The Asana training documents do more than tell users what to do. They guide behavior, promote norms, and structure participation within our teams and across organizations. These documents shape how we communicate, how we collaborate, and even how we understand our roles and responsibilities. By applying participatory rhetoric and discourse theory, we're able to see these functions more clearly. Participatory rhetoric reminds us that communication is never one way. It's about creating space for shared engagement. Discourse theory helps us understand how power and knowledge operate through language, how these documents subtly regulate action, establish authority, and reflect broader organizational values. Ultimately, looking at Asana through these rhetorical lenses doesn't just deepen our analysis, it empowers us to be more intentional in how we design and use tools that shape workplace communication. Here are the primary sources that inform this project. These include foundational texts by Lauren and Foucault, as well as internal documents used in IT. Thank you for taking the time to explore this with me. I hope this presentation has opened up new ways of thinking about documentation in project management. I welcome your questions and feedback, and I look forward to continuing this dialogue with you.